Welcome to Matt Bajerski YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about all things shares, Bitcoin, all of these things, stocks, gold, silver. We'll talk about everything, shall we? Who are you to talk about any of this, Mr. Bajerski? You're meant to be spiritual. Well, the spiritual aspects in all of these things, and I'll explain to you as I go along. When I first started this field of work, which is psychic readings, I used to read for many amazing people, many strange people, and many fascinating souls. I read for, you know, mums and dads, the list goes on, but I also used to read for multi and trillionaires. I used to read for the highest level of people who worked in industry of this kind of shares, and it was fascinating to read for certain people and what I would pick up from them. And then sometimes we'd go for a coffee and we'd sit and chat. They'd be so in awe of what I just told them about their mum in spirit or whatever it was, that they'd like to talk to me, and they used to share valuable information with me. Valuable. I was also asked on many occasions to work for these people full-time, which I never did. I didn't want to do that, and it didn't matter how much it was. It was out of my comfort zone, and principles just didn't align. So I was very lucky to have a lot of these people as kind of friends if I needed their help, which I never did, but it was always nice. They always said, give me a call if you need anything. So that said, let me just give you some bits of info so you'll realize that I'm not talking BS, I'm talking the truth. There was once a young lad who came to see me. When I say young, let's say he was in his 30s. His father was a pilot, and he came to see me with this idea that he was going to become a multimillionaire. I didn't see it in the cards. I felt very, very uneasy when I was reading, and I think I did everything I could to warn him that the path that he chose right now could be a very challenging one, and it could end up that how he felt about this excitement and wanting the confirmation from me, well, wasn't something that I felt I could give him, but I was giving him other paths to go down if he chose, but he didn't. So this particular person spent 3 years of his life in a room with a computer. And when I say 3 years of his life, I mean that he borrowed money from his father and from lots of other people. And his conversation was, I have spent 12 months studying the a euro, and I have now found that there is a clear pattern to when it goes up and down. And he swore by it. Now, when I sat with him, his first conversation was, look, Mark, I believe that all stocks and shares are manipulated. And I said, yeah, I kind of get that. I agree with that. And he said he believed that there were certain people who manipulated the stocks and shares. They were a group of people. They were very powerful. I kind of believe that as well. And he said, and I know their pattern. And that is where I couldn't see anything. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't see that. I don't see a pattern of, you know, numerology and how they would work it with the, you know, the 4 spikes or 5 spikes. I just didn't, it didn't show up to me. It didn't resonate. It wasn't in the cards. I didn't feel it, and I got a bad feeling, and I felt almost, I've got to say this, I felt darkness within him and around him. He came back to me on numerous occasions over the 3 years, but finally, the final time he came to see me, he sat down and he looked like a man who'd been drained of all energy, of life itself. And I was worried. So I knew exactly why he came, and I knew this time it had revealed itself. So he began to tell me that he put all the money in, he believed it was at this particular point, and of course he lost all his money. So I said to him, so now do you believe that there is no pattern? And this was the most scariest part. He said, yes, I do believe there's a pattern. And I said, after 3 years of your life, every day and night, hardly any sleep, watching these graphs of a euro money going up and down, you still believe that you missed something and there is a pattern? And he said, yes. And I came to understand it's very similar to people who go so deep down the rabbit hole that they become intertwined in that darkness, and they get pulled in so much that they want to believe that there is a deception, that there is this, that they become addicted. So this young man, his father kind of blew him out and said, that's it, we're done. So his father had abandoned him. He didn't really have anything left. He was a mess. He was drained. That was the worst part. He looked like he was drained, and he looked like, you know, something out of a film where somebody had sucked all the life out of him. So I said, okay, from now on, it's free. You come here, it's free. You come anytime. He came about 5-10 times, and I gave him healing through that. At the very end of it, he was strong again, and he was ready to continue another year or two on doing the same thing. That broke my heart, but free will is important. So that's one story. The other story was of a very interesting man. He used to come with his Rolex fancy car downstairs. It was actually a white, back then it was a white, was it white? Oh my God, I can't remember. Maybe it was like a pearl Jaguar, beautiful. Had a huge house here and a huge house all over the world. He was basically a billionaire. After we'd finished our session and the healing session, we went for a coffee, and he told me something about his work, and it was about stocks and shares. And that's how he made his money, but he also made it in other different things as well. He was an entrepreneur. And I said to him, you know, I told him about some of the stories about, you know, young lads and grown men who basically had given up all their life to stocks and shares, and they didn't have a life anymore. They were just fully focused on it. And he smiled and he said, yeah, that's the downside of this field of work. It pulls you in. And I said, do you think it's dark? He says, oh, of course it's dark. He says, but you've got to be above it. You've got to rise above it. You've got to understand it, and you've not got to let it pull you down. And I said, yeah. I said, but I see all the time people are pulled down. And I said, can I ask you a question? I said, do you believe that there is a force, a group, a board of extremely powerful people who control the world but are not seen or not known, that they can manipulate, they can say, okay, today we're going to do this, not on the sense of dates or anything like that, but they come together at certain times and create a crash, or they create an illusion that something is worth more money? And he said, absolutely. And I said, do you know who they are? He said, I haven't got a clue who they are. He says, but it's definitely so. And I said, so do you see a pattern? He says, there is no pattern. And I said, that's exactly how I feel. I feel there's no pattern, because if there was a pattern, then somebody would find the pattern and that would foil what they were doing. So if you were a criminal mind or a psychopath, that you wouldn't, you know, play chess, the same moves to the same person on the next chessboard, right? It makes sense. He says, of course, Mark. He says, but there's this kind of, you know, illusion that there is something that is out there that, you know, you can get, and then everybody will get it and become rich. He said, to be truthful, becoming rich from this kind of work is luck. It's all to do with luck. And I said, yeah, that's what I think. And I said, you know, when you can, and he said, you'd be lucky at it. I said, no, I wouldn't. He says, yes, you would, because your luck would be interacted with intuition, so you'd feel it when it would happen. And moving on now to another story. I had a guy who used to come to me, who was from Denmark, and very suave, swanky, looked great, and always came and listened. Didn't really say anything. Anyway, one day I asked him, what is it you do? I said, you're very successful at it. And I could feel something very intuitive about him. And he smiled. He says, I look after people's money. I said, I thought so. I said, I had that feeling that you were pretty good at what you do. And he says, oh yeah, I am. And I said, you know, what kind of statistics have you got then for looking after people's money? He said 98%, sometimes 96. I went, wow, shit, that's good. And he said, don't tell anybody. He says, but I think you know how I do it. I said, you know what? I said, I have a feeling. I said, I don't think you do it with the graphs. I think you intuit it. He says, yes, I do. He says, but if any of my clients were to know this, they wouldn't back me. He says, but they back me because they can see my past years of always being accurate to 96% to 98%. I said, that's fascinating. It's fascinating. I says, can I ask you how you do it? Do you use cards? He says, no, I just intuit it. I just sit down, close my eyes and see it. And I said, can I ask you something? I said, sometimes do you feel that you're creating it? And he said, yeah, sometimes I do. And I said, do you believe that there are people out there who manipulate? And he laughed and he said, of course they are. And I said, so what you're in tuning to, what you're trying to attune to is their moment when they're going to manipulate the markets. He says, exactly. Fascinating. Anyway, take all that away. Now you know that I have kind of a good insight into this field of work because of many clients who came to me who worked in this field of work. People who played at it, people who spent their life, and yeah, let's get on to that. Let's talk about the people who lose their family. Let's talk about those people who forget everything around them, forget themselves, and just fully focus on this dark entity because all they see is money and profit and becoming rich. That is a trap. That's a trap. Anything that is offered to you, like stocks and shares and Bitcoin, is a trap. It's a business. It's a corporation. It's a trap. Businesses, corporations can only survive if you pay them, because there's no such thing as a corporation anymore. So you need to feed that corporation for that corporation to grow. That's quite logical, right? It doesn't work otherwise. So unless there's a billionaire putting money in just to be able to get something from you, which Facebook is one of them, and Instagram and YouTube, because what they do is they offer you everything for free. But when any company offers you something for free, then you end up being the product. So that means that they take all your information and then eventually put it all together and sell it to governments, agencies, anybody who's willing to pay billions and trillions of dollars for your information that you gave freely, because they said to come to us, it's all free. Yeah. Reminds me a bit like the Lollipop Man from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah, of course it is, mate. So let's talk about stocks and shares, but I think the main one I'd like to talk to you about is that I get a never-ending influx of messages about Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin, people keep telling me that it's something new. It's something that's going to kick the ass of the government. People often share this information that I've got this piece of plastic and inside there's these things and numbers in there, and if I put it into the safe, then it's there for life, and no matter what happens, I've always got these numbers of Bitcoin, which are now worth 20,000 today, but they bought them for 300. I know I have friends who bought them for 300 a Bitcoin. So okay, people made money on it. I don't dispute that. I don't doubt that. Are people going to make money again on it? Yeah, I believe they will. Are people going to lose money on it? Listen, folks, it's a roulette wheel. This is how it works. Spin the dice, boom, falls, you've lost your money. Somebody wins and makes money. But let me tell you who always makes money. The ones who are spinning the roulette table, the ones who put their foot down just when they want it to stop, so it stops on their figures and numbers. So you are never ever going to be the master, the person driving the wheel of this roulette wheel. It's never going to happen. It's a gamble. It's a game. But what strikes me far more than anything else is that somehow we were duped into believing that a piece of paper had value and that we have to work for a piece of paper. It just baffles me how this has happened in this universe. We're the only creatures in this world who have to pay to live. It's fascinating how these people, who you never know who they are, have created this, and we've bought into it so easily. So we buy into paper money, but then it becomes even more fascinating. We have now come to this date, 2022. We are now getting children and adults buying into something that is actually non-existent. It isn't even there. It's invisible. A piece of paper is a piece of paper. Yeah, you could say that's a piece of paper. And do you value this? Yeah, I value it. Okay, then I'm going to work one day and I'm going to pay you for this piece of paper. Okay, so he gets a piece of paper. It's laughable. But what's even more laughable, and how they've even convinced us more and duped us more and tricked us, is that you wear something over your eyes and you're watching this new world, this new internet world of AI technology, and you're buying pieces of land which don't exist for $50,000 and selling it to somebody else for $100,000. What? Are you kidding? Yeah, I've just bought some land. Oh, where did you buy it? Did you buy it in Serbia? Is a good price in Serbia? Oh, where? Czech Republic? Where did you buy? No, on the internet. Well, you bought some land on the internet? Yeah. Basically, it's a new world. You put these goggles on, and there's a new world out there. Yeah, sorry. Just explain to me again. Where's this world? It's out there. So you haven't bought any soil then? That's what you're saying? You haven't bought any trees? You haven't bought any land? Yeah, but it's not the land of this world. It's in the ether. But I've sold it and I made $50,000 on it. Madre mia, por favor. Stop the world, I want to get off. How easy it is to manipulate people into buying something that isn't even there. So that's fascinating. Need I say any more? Bitcoin, however, is interesting because Bitcoin, like all the other ways of trying to take money from people, Bitcoin, I believe, was there because there was a gap in the market. What do you mean, Mark? Well, I believe there was a gap in the market because there were people out there who were absolutely against government, law, everything to do with the system. And I believe somebody very cleverly came up with, there's a gap in the market here. We can capture all of these people and we can take their money. And these clever, invisible people that you never hear about or even know their names, because that's the whole point. If you don't know their names and you don't know who they are, then they stay invisible. Perfect. Brilliant. So they played a game of chess and realized that we'll create something that was made by... Sorry, tell me again who it was made by. Who came up with this? Well, nobody really knows, Mark. Oh, so nobody knows who it is. So that's transparent. Yes, but they do it deliberately. Why? Well, because they don't want the government to know who they are. Okay, right, okay. Kind of now we're getting into this murky waters. So, yeah, but he's Japanese or Chinese or something like that, and his name's this long, but nobody knows who he is. Okay, well, that to me sounds like somebody has created this, and that's how it normally works. So they've created it so that it's nothing to do with government, it's nothing to do with I don't know what you want to call them, these dark entities, these souls, the Illuminati. I don't even like any of them words, but a group of 6 psychopaths who have more money, and they just play a game like Trading Places. They're 2 brothers who just messed about with $1 just to ruin somebody's life. They enjoy it because they have so much wealth. They get bored, so they want to create and do things, and they want to control, basically. So what happens then is everybody goes, oh yeah, it's Bitcoin, it's going to kick the ass of the government, let's buy into it. So all of the alternative world bought into the Bitcoin if they had any money. And some made money and some didn't, and some has lost a lot of money and some have lost everything. But we don't talk about that, of course, because, you know, it goes against the government, and it's a brilliant thing. And some of the arguments I hear every day, people are pushing me to buy Bitcoin every day. You don't need to push me to buy Bitcoin if it's worthy of buying. Okay, I don't go out and push to tell everybody on the internet, buy my crystals. Don't need to. People will buy them because they feel it. So that's the first red flag to me. You don't need to tell me to buy it if it's worthy. You don't need to convince me about about crystals or about Bitcoin. Sorry about the noise. Yeah, so that was one thing. It just sounds like another pyramid sales, and it doesn't feel right, and I'm not interested. So then they were getting aggressive, my friends, and that's when I realized, now this is definitely part of the dark energy. So if you're getting aggressive about something, that means that you know deep in your heart, and that's why you're fighting, because your heart's saying stop, this is wrong, but your brain is saying I need to make money and it's good and I've convinced myself of doing this, but your heart's still telling you. That's why you're getting angry. Why would you get angry if it's doing? Why would you even need to talk to anybody about it? You wouldn't need to. You just say, this is amazing, I feel great, and somebody go, wow, I'm interested. But why are you pushing it? You're pushing it like all the other sales pitches. So that to me is another red flag. So we now know that Bitcoin is meant to be a replacement for everything. So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin, like anything else, is just a load of nothing. I'm going mining. What do you mean you're going mining? I get paid for mining. Which mine do you go to? Bitcoin mine. Whereabouts is it in the world? Oh, it's not in the world, it's on the internet. Sorry. Hang on a minute. You call yourself an awakened soul. You can see clearly how the world is being manipulated. And you're telling me about mining for something that doesn't exist. Oh yeah, I've got these numbers and I make money every week. Okay. So Bitcoin, mining, all of this wealth, where's the coin? Well, there isn't a coin. It's numbers. But then what happens if you... How do you get your money? Well, you've got to type in this, all this, and it's got to be like this. And can you just get all your money out now? Oh, no, you can't get all your money out now. Why not? Because you can't. You've got to do it this way and that way. Okay, so it's not that easy. It comes with a lot of issues. And yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth it. You can use it. You can go into shops and okay, yeah, it sounds good, but something doesn't feel right, mate. I'm sorry. It just doesn't feel right. Oh, well, it's great, and don't then, and see you later, idiot. Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry for having an opinion or having intuition, my own intuition. Sorry about that, but it doesn't feel right. 6 months later, the same guy comes back to me, sits down on the table, he's crying. What are you crying for? I lost all my money. This is a true story. How did you lose it? Apparently, if you don't get the numbers right, your money disappears. So one wrong number sent to the wrong person, you've lost it, it's gone. I don't know exactly what happened to him, but he was telling me that by a mistake, by numbers or letters, whatever, his money had gone. Now I'm going, well, that's exactly what I felt. There's nothing transparent about this. It's so easy to lose everything. So I come on to the final part about Bitcoin. Everybody's talking about a reset. Arnold Schwab, every single leader is talking about a reset. What is a reset? If I'm to put a computer in front of you, what would that mean if I said I need to reset the computer? I'll tell you what it means. It means that everything is wiped off your computer and it starts again and it's fresh and it's clean for you to re-upload things, okay? What happens? That, okay, you've got your Bitcoin in there, you've got your numbers, it's all on your disk, everything's safe. What happens if you plug it in and it's not accepted? What happens if those numbers are no longer valid on the reset? What happens then? What are you going to do? You're going to cry. You're going to pee and cry and nobody's going to listen because nobody cares. So I believe Bitcoin, shares, stocks are all a manipulating energy that feeds from us. It steals our time, it steals our energy, it steals our creativity, it turns us into zombies. And point in fact, I have about 30 or 40 friends who have wasted their life over these past 5 years sitting every day watching Bitcoin. If that isn't the most dangerous and addictive energy, then tell me what is. You've just wasted your life, mate. What have you done? What have you created? You've just sat there watching numbers. When you die, you're going to look back and say, what a blur that was. You've been drawn in. You're an addict. You've become an addict. You're just like any other addict. And that's the same with the television. It's the same with these phones. They're addictive, but they're not healthy. They're not for your well-being. They're to keep everybody suppressed, to keep everybody numb, to keep everybody like zombies and robots. That is manipulating, control, program. It's a program. It's programming you every time you go on and look at the figures. It's a catch. It's a net. It's pulling you in to the darkness. If you are a dumb soul looking at a screen every day, then that's perfect. You create more darkness in the world because you are not shining your light. You are not doing. Your purpose in life has been destroyed. You've destroyed the purpose. Don't blame them. It's not their fault. You've just been hooked into this idea of greed and wanting more money and wealth. And tell me if I'm wrong, but it's true. Yeah, but everybody wants to do well. Well, go and do something then. Go and make a difference. But keep away from that stuff. Make it. Yeah, but my mate made a load of money. Well, I've got mates who've lost everything. So what? So what? My point being, everything in balance. If I'm sat here reading for you, I'd say, okay, well, if there is money to be made out of it, then be wise. Put a little bit in and work with that. But don't look at the screen every day. Just put it in and forget it. Don't even look at it. And come back to it in a few years and say, oh yeah, look, I've made 20,000. Okay, great. So I've made 50,000. Great. Now draw it all out and go and enjoy your life and do something and make a difference. But in between, don't stop your life. Don't ruin your life. The chances are Bitcoin and all shares are one day going to just be nothing. Because the only reason why shares have any value is because somebody has put their belief into it. Okay, so it's only a belief. That's all it is. It's other than that, it's nothing. So people call it confidence. I have confidence in this. But what does that mean? What does confidence mean? You just made that up. You're just saying it. But what does it mean? It means nothing. You can't value confidence. If everything crashes, and I hope it doesn't, the computers crash, you're going to go in your safe and start saying to somebody, hey, look, I've got these Bitcoins here, do you want to buy them? Yeah, you're all right, mate. We're on a crash. There's no diesel, there's no food. I'm actually trying now to find a way of buying food and diesel. So how do I do that? Oh, I've got Bitcoin. Excuse me. What have you got there? I've got tons of seeds, some beautiful seeds that you could buy. I've got fruit and vegetables in my farm. I've got gold. I've got some gold here. I've got some silver here. Okay, I can feel that. Oh, I can eat that. I think I'd prefer the eating of that. I think, yeah, so you built, I actually bought a load of food. I bought like 100 bags of rice. Do you want to sell me a bag of rice? Yeah, I'll buy a bag of rice. What for? Because I need this. Okay, we can do some swapping now. Okay, so I know what I'd rather invest my money in. I'd rather invest my money in a piece of land, okay, get some chickens, which means I can have some eggs every day. All right, if you're vegan, you're not going to eat that, but how about you buy loads of seeds, you buy a piece of land, and you start laying your seeds down and creating your own food, because what happens if it all goes down to a reset? And everything that's happening right now is a push towards clearing food out of our life. So it's killing all farmland. Bill O'Fence is buying land, or duh, of course he is. It's the most genius thing to do, because he's a psychopath genius. Geniuses know what they're doing. They're playing game of chess. If they can buy all the land, that means they can manipulate whether it can be grown on there or not. You know, what you're going to grow on there. Well, you know, but he's buying the land off people and then giving them back to rent off him. I said, yeah, absolutely. What a wonderful guy. So he's buying your land and he's saying, don't worry about it. I'm going to rent it back to you for a reduced price. But whatever you do, don't look at the contract. Don't read the small print. There's no need to. No, don't look at the products in the, no, don't look at the ingredients. Definitely don't look at the ingredients. Don't look at the ingredients. It's all okay. Yeah. So it's all a manipulation. So my balanced approach to this is, if you've got a few quid spare and you're not going to go into the world of nutty land and start spending every day at it and ruining your life, because you're going to look back on your life and say, what a waste of time that was, which it is. It's like going to a slot machine, putting money in, and the worst thing you can do is pull the handle and win, because if you win, that means that you get addicted. They want you to win, because then you're going to keep putting it back in again, because all you're going to think about is when you won. It's something in humanity which is a flaw, and that flaw is that we always remember the good times even though everything goes wrong. So many businesses stay in business because they remember the good times, instead of saying, do you know, we had a brilliant time here, now we can see it's not doing so well, time to go. But no, oh, do you remember the good times? Let's keep going because it might come back again. No, it never comes back again. You had your time, that was your moment, now it's time to move on. That's why it's going bad, because it's not going bad, it's just telling you to get off and do something else, because we're not always meant to be doing something all the time. So anyway, these are just my points that I've seen in life. Same in relationships, you know, we stay in a relationship because we remember the good times, but now it's not so good and it's getting worse. And how many times did women and men come to me saying I should have left 5 years ago? It's like, yeah, well, whose fault is that? Yeah, but I remember the good times. But that was the good times. We honour that and love it. But now it's not so good. So it's now time to go and meet somebody else or be on your own. But staying in a relationship or doing things that you feel is not right deep down, but you're staying there because you feel that, oh, I remember the good times, or I know some, you know, or if it's Bitcoin, oh, I know somebody who's made 600,000 euros in Bitcoin. I can do that. He told me I could. Oh my God. Madre mía, por favor. Finally, finalize all of this. The greatest abundance you hold is inside your heart, not your head. If you follow the abundance of your heart, your spirit will always lead you to the most amazing abundance. I have known the most wealthiest of men and women on this planet, and I can tell you this wholeheartedly, that wealth does not bring abundance and happiness. In fact, it has an absolute anchor, a stranglehold around your neck. The feeling of better is part of their life, and better never ends. I need to do better. When do I stop to say enough is enough? No, I need to do better. The more money you make, the more money you fear losing. And it gets worse and worse. The point about all of these videos that I make is for you to become stronger than the darkness that weaves its snake-like head into every aspect of life. If you can rise above that and not be trapped or pulled into that darkness, no matter what you do and where you work and what you put your money into, there is a chance that you can find your balance along this path. And that is the secret to everything. So, find your balance. Don't put all your eggs into one basket. Think about this. If the world collapsed today, what would you do? How can you trade? What would you buy? How could you buy? If everything's collapsed and money is no longer, what are you going to do? I know it's traumatic and it's a worrying thing to say, but what if like we all of us have a feeling that it can't continue like this, and it's a game, and it always happens this way. There's always crashes. So what would you do? Wouldn't you be of joy thinking, okay, I've got 3 years supply of food, so you just buy a little bit more all the time. Okay, so buy things that you know is important, is needed in your life. And that's what I do every day. I spend a little bit of money on a bit more rice, a bit more pasta, dried fruits, and I work on my farm, because I have a farm now, and plant and learn how to understand planting. And that to me is going back to nature. That's who we are, that's where we came from. Because there is no food in supermarkets anymore. None. There's cancer-causing agents. Of course there is, plenty of them. Every E number and every word that you can't pronounce is all there to make you ill and sick, which is absolutely perfect for the pharmaceutical industry, because then they take over. It's a beautiful psychopathic business at what they've created in humanity. And you can't argue with it, because all you need to do is look at the world, how many people are sick right now. There was a kind of saying that 1 in 2 people would get cancer, and now it's 1 for 1, right? So you can't argue with that. It's the truth. So where did that come from? Where's all these new diseases come from? Come on, guys, wake up, think about it. Anyway, I bought a bit of silver, I bought a bit of gold, not much, just as much as I could afford. Not that that means a lot to me, to be honest, but I have invested in land and I'm growing, and I've invested in seeds, so I can always grow food, always. I have, spare diesel. Every time I go, I buy a bit more diesel, so I've got some spare diesel, just in case all the places shut down. So that's it. But really, I'm self-sufficient. I don't really want to go anywhere anyway, unless I want to trade and want to buy some different kinds of fruit and vegetables from my neighbours around me. Then I'll get onto the motorbike and fill it with the diesel and petrol and just drive back again. Eat my eggs and live a happy life. And until then, keep growing, keep being smart, keep doing what I do, and keep creating every day. Because when you talk about things like this, you start thinking, oh, everything is going to go wrong. Well, there you go, you're getting pulled into it again. So now you're getting pulled into the darkness again. No, just be smart, box clever. Just think to yourself, does it feel like things might get worse? It could do. Well, even if it doesn't matter, because I can always eat the food. You know what I mean? I'm getting solar panels, so I've got natural solar electric. I've got a generator, so if everything goes off, they switch everything off. I've got a well. I've got 3 wells, which means I've always got water. So, for me, these are the things that are important. But to you, you might be watching this, living in an apartment, saying, this is bullshit. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm talking about certain people who are in the situation that I am in. And maybe, like a lot of my friends, left the apartments and went to rent or buy a piece of land with a little finca, and they're living happy, living off the land. So it depends what you want. Depends what you want. I guess that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I haven't upset too many people. I know I'm probably going to get a barrage of people saying that Bitcoin is amazing, brilliant, fantastic. Well, it might be to you, but to a lot of my friends, they lost everything. So, it's like somebody sent me a message today. we've got 8 billion movies playing at the same time, and you're in your own movie and so am I. Have a great day.